cover. This cover was done by Tom, and I absolutely love it. It was inspired by the poem Broken, the title poem. And I'm going to begin by reading that poem. If you want to follow along, it's on page 26. I chose this for the title poem because I noticed when I went through my manuscript, I noticed I was writing about a lot of broken things. And I was also writing about healing. Broken. My bones ache, full with emptiness. I long to be lowered into a bath of soothing nectar from the wild honeysuckle. I will vine to the sky and sprout leaves of spring green. From my vine will blossom tiny white-petaled flowers divine, flowers with a pink-tipped kiss within, and with pollen-topped stamens stained gold from an alchemist's rain. When the wind stirs, it will gently strum the stamens like the strings of a harp and carry far the sound of a trembling bygone melody. My vine will entwine the cotton-puffed clouds. From there, I will travel the sea blue sky over the smoke blue mountains to the sky blue sea. I will float upon its tender eternity. The next poem I'm going to read is on page 1, entitled Authenticity. That's something I strive for in my writing. I always want my words to come from an honest place in my heart and in my mind. Authenticity. I set my scalpel to the page and carve my identity down to the bone until all that is left of me is skeletal authenticity. I discard the soft flesh of my deceits into a trash heap, then set it afire. Ashes spiral up to the sky, darkening the world. Wild wind blows the ashes, obscuring all sight, but cleansing me to such purity that I am hidden no more. My bare bones rattle with truth's delight. The next poem I'd like to read is on page 4, and it's entitled Ars Longa. If you aren't familiar with that phrase, it's Latin. It comes from the phrase Ars Longa Vita Brevis, which is a Latin translation of the Greek aphorism by Hippocrates. And what it's usually translated as is, it takes a long time to learn your art, and life is short. I was inspired to write this poem after I visited the gallery of Isaac Harmeling, who is a fantastic artist, very talented. And I was standing in one of the rooms in the gallery and surrounded by paintings on every wall of all these colors. And I just wanted to spin and spin and spin around in the room and just immerse myself in all of the colors. Ars Longa, to Isaac Harmeling. The weary artist, long unknown, made his way down the hidden path to the forbidden lake. There he abandoned his brushes on the shore and knelt by the water's edge to rinse his palette one last time. As the colors began to spread, the still water began to boil and swell with the thick, multicolored pigments until it was like kaleidoscopic lava. This versicolored spectrum, reflected in the sky above, surrounded the artist in a panoramic frenzy of saturation. He stood a moment, then dove into the water and began to spin and spin and spin. He rose again and slowly went ashore. He gathered up his brushes and palette and left, stained in every hue. Ever after, to his art he was true. The next poem is on page 8, entitled The Thrifters. This poem was inspired by the artwork of Jacob Harmeling, who is Isaac's brother and also an amazing artist. he collects things that may seem ordinary and not have any special use, and he turns them into art. And I was inspired when I visited his studio, and he showed me how he bends metal into art and just sends it up into the sky. I have a picture of an artwork he did. I don't know how well you can see it. Let me pull it back a little bit. If you see down here, you can see the car top. So you can see how big this is, how tall it is going up to the sky above the trees. The Thrifters, to Jacob Harmeling. Look down. Watch the ants on the ground carry back to their mound the cracker crumbs we so carelessly dropped. They hoist each one on their backs and in single file make their way to the hill, where each will eat its fill and live another day. What treasures we so cavalierly toss away, treasures that are often stolen away by the artist who sees what we do not and stows them away. Someday the artist's hands will grip the straight bars of debris and twist them into a double helix made from beauty's DNA. Material is forged and bent, shaped with intent, then sent aloft to touch the sky. So let us fritter away the gifts we are given. Someone is always watching, ready to salvage our casual debris. Our excess can often be art's one necessity. Our waste at times its saving grace. The next poems I'd like to read are from a series of 7 different poems. It's about Hurricane Helene, who came through the Southeast in 2024. We live inland Florida, so we weren't hurt that bad. The coastlines, though, were devastated, and the Appalachians were flooded, and there were mudslides everywhere, and they were just torn to pieces. I'm going to read the first 4 poems in this series, and it's based on a true event. 1. Hurricane Watch. Raindrops wrinkle the river. Soft waves gently slap the sand where I stand. The trees around me whisper in the gentle breeze that will soon grow into a wild wind. I stare across the expanse. A lone boat heads home. The quiet trembles. 2. Hurricane Warning. The rain is falling harder now. A steady pounding on the ground by water-swollen pellets sounds like bullets pouring down on us. I stand in the screen porch and look out while being sprayed by mist. The heavy raindrops hit the river hard. The water seems to boil. Tree branches sway in the building wind. The slate gray of the sky emits a low rumble, and the ground has turned to mud and mush. Standing here, trapped by fear, it seems as if the sun has never shined and never again will. Knowing what is coming, I realize things are going to get very worse, very fast. I lock the screen door as if that will help. I know I must go in. I hear the baby crying, but I can't break the grip of this scene. I can only stand still and stare. 3. Landfall. Flickering lights, total darkness, hold tight to the baby, hold tight to the baby. Pounding rain, flashing lightning, howling wind, tree crashing thud, hold tight to the baby, hush little baby. House shaking, floor tilting, wood grinding, floodwater seeping, hush little baby, mommy's here. Rushing water, rattling windows, shattering glass, hold tight to the baby. Please God, help us. Hold tight to the baby. Please God, please God. 4. Appalachian Aftermath. Houses that once stood high on the mountain, tall and proud, are splintered and smothered by mudslides now. Their contents swept downstream by the flooding brown water to form makeshift dams, life's treasures now but mere debris. Age-old trees were nothing but playthings, uprooted and smashed into whatever was in their path. Twisted train tracks stabbed the embankments. Bridges are washed away by the floods, taking cars and trucks with them. Roads are gouged and eroded, yawning gaps carved into the hills in their place. Downed power lines drape across the ground, some sparking, most dead. Rescuers, gripped by fear, shocked by the devastation, plead to the TV cameras for more help. Reporters shake as they hold microphones to survivors who, dull-eyed, tell horror stories in traumatized monotones. The house was in the rushing water. A rescuer was at the window, taking the baby from the mother. When he turned to help the mother, the water swept the house away. The mother was lost. The next poems I want to read are also from a series. It's called The Disturbed Mind, Living with Mental Illness. There's a series of 7 poems about 7 different symptoms, and I'm going to read 3 of them. I think it's important that the stigma that is attached to mental illness give way to understanding and ultimately to compassion. Mental illness devastates the people who have it and the people who love and take care of them, their friends, family. It's a debilitating disease sometimes. And it's very hard on those who love the person so much. So I think we all need to do what we can to get rid of the stigma and develop compassion. 1, the predator and the prey, depression. Agony prowls the streets tonight, seeking easy prey. My gnawing hopelessness puts me at risk. I have sought refuge, but all doors have slammed tight. Thus I, too, crawl the night. From bin to bin, I hide in the back streets, but it detects my scent. I know it is but a matter of time. I howl at the moon, but she is cold and does not answer. I cry to the stars, but they just blink indifferently. The darkness that surrounds them fears the light, just as I fear this night. Without hope, I crouch in an alley corner. The cats resent my intrusion and hiss a hiss of fierceness, arching their backs and baring their teeth. Stray dogs growl. Rats scurry. At last, I surrender to agony. At least it is familiar, so it is my only hope for some kind of peace. The next one is on page 31. It's entitled Ghost, Derealization. Derealization is also like depersonalization, and it's a detachment from everything that's going on around you, and it's also a detachment from your body. Lately, I feel as if I'm not here, for when small talk erupts, I hover between the lines, and when I leave a place, I leave behind no empty space, as the air folds in on itself behind me, like water, so that no trace is left behind, no carcass for casual carnivores to pick clean behind the scenes, not even an ethereal mist or a random memory. Old sorrows, post-traumatic stress disorder, flashbacks. Here, downriver, in this hidden ossuary, lie the bones of my old sorrows. They used to walk with me through my broken life. I would care for them, caress them, comfort them, assure them I would never leave them. But they covered themselves with sharp skin, woven from nettles. Their thorns pierced my palms until they bled, a symbiotic stigmata. I wept, but I could not let them go. Once, though, when I crossed this river with no name, my old sorrows were washed away downriver, and I was made new. My palms healed. I could breathe free. But once in a while, when I am weary and feel so all alone, I come here and I stare at the bones of my old sorrows. I try to find peace here. I must become reconciled to the hard truth. I will always bear the scars of their wounds. Truth. Under the spell of the snake-headed shamanka, the stranger began to spread false prophecies to the fallen people of the village. But the sea formed a salty, gritty mist that traveled to the village, scrubbed clear the eyes and ears of the villagers, and burnt the lying tongues of the shamanka and the false prophet. Thus people were left alone and free to form their own understanding of the world. Realizing this, they wept. When I came to the end of writing this poem, I realized I didn't know why the people were weeping. I didn't know if they were weeping for joy, to be free to form their own thoughts, or if they were weeping with despair at having no one to tell them what to think. I think about that a lot. I still don't know. I do know that I think more and more people cling to that security blanket of Orwellian groupthink, which is the antithesis of freedom of thought. And I think that's very dangerous. And I think we need to be careful of it. And I think we need to see that it stops. The next poem is on page 39. It's called Spiritus Mundi. I want to talk a little bit about the title of this poem. Spiritus Mundi is Latin for spirit of the world. It's a metaphysical plane that transcends space and time and is a reservoir of all human consciousness and emotions and experiences and memories. It's similar to Carl Jung's collective unconscious and also to the Sanskrit Akashic plane, also called the Akashic records. If you are familiar with the term, you might be like me and you're familiar with it from William Butler Yeats' poem, The Second Coming, wherein he says, "A vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight." One day I had this vision of Spiritus Mundi itself, and it was a real clear image. This is what I saw. The earth quakes, quivers, tumbles, rumbles underground. Tectonic upheaval cleaves a long crevice that splits the shell, and the edges of this chasm break into shards. With a massive crack, the earth gives birth. A white feathered bird with a curved neck emerges from the abyss, a gathering of souls that would be set free from worldly misery. It spreads its wings and takes flight as the shattered pieces of its egg scatter into space. Free of the bonds of gravity, it spans the space of eternity. The gathered souls sparkle like a host of tiny stars. The next poem is on page 41. It's a poem about an individual entering Spiritus Mundi. Light. From beyond, darkness looms. Not seen but felt, its tentacles threaten to entwine me. I spread my arms wide, slide down the dew-dampened hill, dive toward the horizon, and crash into the hard sky. I feel its cerulean blue crack into pieces, each piece curled like in a sun-baked lake bed. My bones crushed, I slide easily between the cracks and glide into the dark universe spotted with starlight. I swallow the light of each bright star until only I shine. Now I am made full with light. Feeding the birds. This poem is one in a series that I dedicated to my husband, Tom. Feeding the birds. I watch you through the window as you carry the bag of seed to the birdhouse you built so many years ago. The squirrels on the ground below it scatter, make an outraged clamor, and scamper up the trees. But they don't go far, nor do the birds. Mockingbirds, redbirds, blackbirds, the occasional dove, they all take wing, but they stay close, just out of sight. You carefully fill the birdhouse with seed, then scatter little piles around the base so the squirrels won't have to wait for what the birds spill. 50 years married, and my heart is still touched by your tenderness. A red-winged bird. A simple thing like a red-winged bird feeding on seed left for it in a yellow wooden birdhouse sends me into a deep reverie. How often we exercise dominion with kindness, giving sustenance to living things that can give us no reward, but for the beauty they bring us with their mere existence. Our bond with them is a covenant, a resistance to the void of space and the threat of time. Just a flash of a red wing leads our eyes up and is more than enough to bring us to our knees and humble us. The next poem, towards the end of the book, I have a few poems that contemplate the close of life. This poem, entitled The Earthen Jar, is a tribute to my friends and my family, everyone I love and who loves me, and the memories that we share, and the fact that those memories will be a comfort to me in my last days. The Earthen Jar. I cradle against my breast an earthen jar baked brown in the noonday heat, then burnished a red gold hue by the burning sun. This jar carries hoarded effervescent flakes of memories gathered along the paths I have trod. I seek a sand-grain expanse with salt-sodden air by a salty sea. There will I strow the flakes, seeds that will gestate, break through their bed, bud and bloom, then flower my last days. Scrubbed free of strife by the grit of the sand, their sweet scent will soothe my trembling mind. Petals painted soft pastels will cover and close my film-veiled eyes. My going will be made gentler by these memories ephemeral, life's transient treasures, their wealth gathered and now, at the end, well spent. The next poem, When the Time Comes. When the time comes, wash my hair in the fresh summer rain, brush it from my face and let it hang in the new shining sun. Anoint my skin with the rich, dark oil of the olives of Jerusalem. Renew the chiseled grooves that life has left. Restore the flush of life's first blush. Soothe my weary feet that have walked so far for so very long, with clear water from the springs. Wrap me in a cloak made from soft white petals of lily of the valley. Let it comfort me within. Then lay me in the arms of heaven's sweet singing angels. Let me rest there forever in their feathered love. And this poem will close my reading. Night closes in. Smeared rain, brushstrokes of mist, shrouds dark mysteries of the cryptic sky. The night birds begin to crowd the branches, scrunched together, hidden by the leaves. Clouds of midges swarm over the lake and flutter nervously. They know it is late. Crickets croak their night chorus. Feral cats prowl. I won't tarry. I know my time is done. I'm coming home. It won't be long. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.